I really enjoyed that conversation with Dr. Tulip Javari, and so interesting as we talk about the headlines that have cropped up all across the United States related to this melioidosis bacteria or disease that they found. Only a couple of cases in coastal Mississippi, only an average of 11 to 12 cases in the entire United States. But when you read the headlines that have occurred in USA Today and Yahoo News and New York Post and the CDC, Clarion Ledger, WLOX, you read your headline. I mean, look at the headline from the Clarion Ledger, what you need to know about deadly bacteria found in Mississippi soil and water. Well, they only found it in a puddle of water. So, but again, you got to get below this headline sometimes to deal with issues like this. It's interesting that we may have a dust up around putting this particular disease in context. Hopefully, it's just a little thing that it creates some headlines, it goes away, nobody thinks about it, and it's not a problem for our tourism area. At least certainly that's what I get out of it after looking into this. But headlines can create problems. I mean, that's the bottom line. Headlines can create problems, and sometimes it's meant to be good. In the case, this is a CDC advisory about it, and I get that. Our next guest has a different sort of headline that we're going to deal with and what their response was. But before we go any further, let me welcome my friend Billy Hewes, the mayor of the city of Gulfport, into the conversation. How you doing, Billy?
Doing great. Really are, Ricky. Thank you.
Yeah, you and I talk a lot about the media. It's just I came from the media, spent the last 16 years of my career in the media. The reality is that now that we have the internet and social media, I actually posted something on my website, and I'm actually going to review it at some point on Coast Vue, but it breaks down media today and literally had 35 different buckets where people could get, that are channels where they can get information. So many of those channels, though, are misinformation. One of those you're dealing with currently in the city of Gulfport, and we'll come back to that in a second. But just in general, it creates a challenge for you because a headline today can get posted a year from now, and suddenly it's a new story again. It seems to be always something you got to pay attention to. Isn't that true?
Oh yeah, you and I have had our discussions through the years, even when you were publishers, about headlines and the inference that they make, and a lot of folks don't drill down past that. They scan the news or scan the web and go on and make their conclusions that are often wrong. But the headline did what it was intended to do, was excite or inflame an issue that may not warrant that.
Yeah, there's unfortunately no doubt about that. Gulfport, and when you look at some of these best of deals that are out there, lots of different ones. Some are from reputable news organizations. Some are what I refer to as content marketing. And let me explain what content marketing is for people who don't know. What that is developing content that could have a hook to it, that could cause some clicks. Some call them clickbait, that a company can do where they embed a lot of advertising inside of it that cause people to click on the advertising and come back to their company website. There's a lot of that in the world today. Everybody sees it. That's called content marketing. And frankly, usually it's not developed by the company. It's developed by some marketing company over here that's been tasked with driving people to someone's website. So anyway, the current issue that you're dealing with currently, I think, is actually content marketing for this company that we now know as Wallet Hub. And I think it's incredibly irresponsible what they've done, and I'll talk more about my opinion on that. But why don't we do this? Let's frame the problem first, and then we'll get into specifically what your response was. So what happened?
So, it's like that incessant fly that keeps buzzing around and doesn't go away. And most things that you see on the web, you've got to take them with a grain of salt unless you're willing to do a deeper dive and look at things. But most folks look at for entertainment purposes. We all like rankings and ratings and all that sort of stuff and have opinions on those. And so a few years back, this rating came out, the 10 best and 10 worst, run cities and all that. And we were kind of surprised that we were ranked like number 10, and I said, well, that's just got to be wrong, knowing where we are, what we're doing, how we're really driving. We've got a lot of success, and people continue to beat a path to Gulfport and this coastal region. And said, we're just going to ignore it. It's just, bringing attention to it is probably just going to drive more traffic to this what I believe to be as a bogus site. It's not what it's set up to be, other than to get people to click on it and go, hey, you want a free credit score, that sort of thing. So to me, it's very misleading, but it wasn't worth the aggravation. People are going to want to believe what they want to believe, but then it was picked up by a media source, and it's like, gosh, they need to check this stuff out. We've got a great story to tell. So we looked at it as an opportunity to bolster our story, talk about Gulfport. But after about 6 years, you kind of say enough is enough. And I always believe a lie unchallenged becomes the truth. And so we said, we're going to do our own deep dive, but let's start out with reaching out to these folks and invite them to come down, see, what they can say. How did they reach these conclusions? Or what subjective metrics are they using to draw these conclusions and justify this particular ranking? And then, so we started looking at it and said, look, it looks like they're using numbers from the metro area. We're a city of 70,000. All the other cities, or many of the other cities on this, are, populations of 1 million and above. I mean, it's just, some things just did not add up. So we called them and they said, no, we're really not interested in talking to y'all, but we'll send you our spreadsheet. We'll send you our stuff. Well, you can get that to some degree. So it was disappointing they didn't want to engage. Because, I have found over the years in my time as a businessman, as a member of the Senate for 20 years, you and I kind of chafe when people judge our state through old stereotypes. They don't understand the new Mississippi. They don't understand our people and the really great things we have going on from an amenities, from an attributes, from a natural resources, and from our hospitable nature. We get judged on things from the 50s and the 60s that were not good measurements, and we've made great strides through the years. But people who've never been here, and they draw those conclusions, and I talk about that I had no idea moment. Secretary Raimondo, who came down, Secretary of Commerce, Governor of Rhode Island, now Commerce Secretary, came down and said, I am blown away by what y'all have. I had a 5, 6, and I had no idea moments. This is great. You guys are on a tear. And so we use that as part of our response, our piece that we put out in response to Wallet Hub, and trying to kind of push back on this negative stereotype, because sometimes people in our community, in all communities, looking to relocate, bring their families, set up businesses, which is happening again on a daily basis here. But they do drive-by assessments. They look at certain steps, they look at reports like this, and it diminishes our ability to really be as good as we can be. And so we, again, decided enough's enough. We're going to talk about Gulfport and this coast and what the opportunities are and what's going on. And, you don't dwell at the bottom of the barrel and at the same time reach the standards and create the accountability and transparency, but the quality of life that we're enjoying, that we have to work on every single day to deliver. But guess what? We're doing it. There are a lot of folks that can say, oh, well, yeah, but look at this. All cities have their own issues and challenges, and many are universal that we're working on. There's always a better to be done, but you can't let, what do they say? Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. We're striving for perfection, but we know that that's a standard. The standard of excellence is what we think we can achieve, and in many areas we're getting it. But there's always something to do. There's always challenges. The fact is we're responding, and I'm really proud of where we are. We have 600 employees. We have countless volunteers. We have members of boards in this community who believe in what we're all about and what you promote on this show a lot. The good side, the bright side, instead of defaulting to that negative that's so easy on social media. So.
Well, you look at reputable organizations who do this, media companies that do this, and we've identified coastal Mississippi as the most affordable beach community in the United States, and you add all of that up, the economic development that's happening here, the incredible tourism story that we have to tell. We led the nation. During the pandemic. There's so much to be thankful for. There's so much to be proud of. But I can't help but come back to this, that the CEO of Wallet Hub has tasked his marketing department, most likely, and then their marketing firm, to come up with all of these different mechanisms to create clickbait. The content marketing is paid advertising. So essentially, when you see this on Fox, most likely Wallet Hub was placing this as paid advertising on the Fox site so that they could deliver this ranking to more people. And the goal is to get people to come back to Wallet Hub. That's the goal of this. I'd be very surprised, because Wallet Hub is not in the content business. That's not what they do. They developed this. So they developed this incredibly flawed methodology. It should be focused on on the positive, but unfortunately, there's an aspect to it that's focused on the negative, the worst ranking, so to speak. And you get this, and it leaves organizations like yours, communities like ours, that have to defend themselves. And it's unbelievable to me that you call them and they're not even interested in engaging with you. That's what's amazing to me. As a media executive, I never really had the option to ignore you. You have to talk. You have to work through issues like this. This is really unfortunate. When we come back on the other side, though, we're going to share with you aspects of the letter that the city of Gulfport put together, which I think is extraordinarily well done. And we will never refer to Wallet Hub as Wallet Hub ever again. It's going to be Wallet Hoax from this point forward. We'll see you after this. You almost don't want to talk about stuff like this because talking about it brings more attention to it. That's the point that Billy Hewes, the mayor of Gulfport, made at the beginning. I definitely agree with him. But there's only so much you can take, especially when these rankings, especially one that's focused on the negative, ends up on Fox News website and who knows where else for that matter. But his letter starts out to Wallet Hoax. Again, that's what we're going to refer to this from now on. Another year, another myopic and confusing ranking from a free credit score website. I mean, it's unfortunate. This is not from a reputable media company. And then we have to defend ourselves. But, man, I mean, we have to have a chip on our shoulder because if we don't defend ourselves, nobody else will. So what were some of the real highlights of the letter you sent to Wallet Hoax?
I think it was just, we really tried to look at it as a positive and spin it and say, look, y'all are picking on us. Nobody likes being bullied, but we're going to take this opportunity to push back and lay some truth to that lie and try to turn it around and talk about the great things. So what's wonderful about Gulfport and really the coast at large is where do you start? There's so many things to look at. And I always talk about the live, work, and play thing where you've got, again, great work ethic. Cost of living, second to none. There is no gridlock here with respect to getting from point A to point B. There's always challenges, the traffic proposals that we've taken on, the investments we're making in the city, but more importantly, over the last decade, over $1 billion in investments in Gulfport alone. And downtown, just in the last few years, $50 million in downtown. You got things going up in the crossroads. The Sportsplex has a $20 million economic impact with Travel Ball. We're still the retail center of South Mississippi. We're the business center and have been historically. And unfortunately, it's not just about Gulfport. When we talk about that rising tide, what benefits one benefits us all. So if they're talking about any one of us in a negative fashion, it reflects negatively on the region too. But the same thing goes on the positive side of it. Gulfport is the most affordable beach town in the United States. Cruising the coast is the number one tourist draw with respect to classic car shows. Our Holiday Lights, our Harbor Lights program is number one in the state and has been and is top 10 in the United States. So there's so much to talk about before you even get to the blue economy, which is really going to bring, put us on the map as a center of research and development down at the port in concert with USM. There's just, it's all over the board. And when we talk about it too, to talk about our sister cities with, Ocean Springs and Bay St. Louis being, the number 1 and 2 small towns in America. I mean, these rankings, so some of them like this Wallet Hoax, Wallet Hub, you got to take it with a grain of salt, look deeper into it. But some of these are by very reputable folks. Realtor.com named us the next city poised for success. So we're really proud of this type of recognition. But most importantly, we're proud of how we're helping to transform the economic picture of the coast as well as the physical profile with things like our town center going up, with the aquarium. Look, these are hard decisions and they require a lot of money, public and private, and we're trying to make things that make a difference. And fortunately, the results have been really, really good trying to round out this community and look at what folks want and figure out why folks want to come here, but more importantly, why they want to stay. So education. Look. Yeah,
I think it's Billy. It's a great exercise. I think that you guys went through to I think put in one nice concise letter, which we'll put a link to this letter with this video at YouTube. It will be on Facebook. Let me add, not YouTube, but the video will be on YouTube, but not the link to the letter. I think when you put it all in one concise area, boy, it reads incredibly well. And I always talk about the military community because I think their contributions to coastal Mississippi are incredible. You think about the CB base and what they've done, and they've got people deployed all over the world involved in humanitarian and military crisis around the world. It's unbelievable. And you mentioned the retirement home and the National Guard, what the role that they're playing in protecting America, the U.S. Coast Guard and what they're doing. We've got a lot to be proud of. And I think the exercise of, putting all this together is a great exercise, and it really should create a moment of pride for all coastal Mississippians because, again, you're talking about Gulfport, but you're one of the biggest proponents of one coast, and the fact that if Gulfport does well, it's going to lift the boats of all the other communities. That's what this is all about. What else? It's an 8-page letter, but is there anything else that specific that you'd like to point out while we're on this topic?
Well, your point that people who are not from here look at us as a region, not specific cities, and that's why we talk about our cultural gumbo. You can find what you want in the personality of each city along the coast, but the military component, that is a huge part of our economy. And what was really neat is many of the comments after Jace Payne, our public information officer, posted this up. Is a lot of the comments came from the military community where people said, we love it here, we were deployed here, we're coming back to retire here. And so we're about the business of making ambassadors every day, and we want folks to have a grand experience and tell their friends and tell others when they go back to where they came from, hey, you want to come here? Of course, the funny thing, a lot of folks have come here and lived, they say, I'm not telling my friends because I don't want to come here and mess this up, which is a great endorsement in and of itself that we've got this beautiful beach, this uncluttered area. Our challenge as an overall community, though, is not just beautification, but cleanliness. We trash our city up too much, our coast up too much. And as cities, we can only do so much. We need people to take more personal responsibility and pride in what we're working to convey and enjoy here.
Well, we're out of our time together, but I really appreciate you guys taking the time to respond to Wallet Hoax. And hopefully we'll get their attention, and they can maybe change their strategic direction here. They should not be negative to communities like this one. We're not going to sit it back and just let it happen. Thank you very much for jousting on that one. I appreciate you doing it, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend. I hope
they come down and pay us a visit and find out for themselves firsthand. It's an open
invitation. Yeah, for sure. Come on down, the CEO of Wallet Hoax. Okay, we'll see you later. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great day.